I've heard you say, especially like on the ED commentary for Babylon 5, you said that that's probably the best experience you had as an actor. For myself, as kind of an inspiring writer, director, I'm wondering, could you just give me a few do's and don'ts to how to treat your actors and make sure that they have a good experience?
Be a good writer. Because I'll tell you something, we're nothing without those written words, you know? We're not doing silent films anymore. But JMS was the best writer I ever worked for, and I will say that across the board. Maybe one other guy who came many more years before that, you wouldn't know him, but he was a Western writer. But he created such vivid characters, and so many, and you know, in that entire saga, there was so much play. As Sheridan, and I stepped in, remember, a season late than everybody else. It was overwhelming, the material that I got to do. I got to do as an actor everything from A to Z, you know, every emotion, every color, in those 4 years, in those 3 TV movies. I got to play every aspect of a human man's experience, you know. And I think that's his brilliance as a writer was that he listened to each of us. Because I kind of came into this generic captain's role. They didn't know who it was going to be, by the way. You know, they had to shop around. And I don't know that I was number 1 on the list after they were trying to find someone else to replace Michael, who was a wonderful actor, a wonderful man, by the way. For whatever reason, they felt they needed to change, and believe me, I took grief for him when I stepped into the Babylon 5. There were fans who were so outraged by him. But Joe wrote this sort of generic role because they didn't know who this actor was, but immediately, as I stepped into the shoes and kind of fumbled my way through it first, and caught up to speed with everybody else, he listened to me. He listened to my speech patterns, the way I talk, my personality. And I really believe if you really look at John Sheridan as he sort of started to grow in that part, it sounds a lot more like me, which is very smart, you know, especially in television, because an actor, a character, the actor's persona so dominates that character in television series, unlike movie roles where it can become more chameleon-like. On the day-to-day, work-a-day basis, it's the personality of that actor that really shines through in the role. And I think he adapted to Mira, to Claudia, certainly. If you've ever been to a convention with Claudia, Ivanova was right on the money. I love her still. She was there for me in those first days, so helpful to me. Find my way around the soundstage, in fact. But I think that's the thing. Really listen, you know, and write, if it's possible, dialogue that people can really speak, you know. Because there's one thing looking at that screen of yours, you're typing away, you're hearing it in your head. Can someone really say this and make it really, you know, integral and really part of that? That's where he's really marvelous. He really can capture your voice, I think. And plus he has an imagination that boundless. And I really hope to work with him again someday. I hope so.
Speaking of writing, you let slip on one of your radio interviews this week about your own writing. Will you tell the folks this? You're going to believe this story.
Well, I wrote 2 books. I mean, they're kind of out of print. I had a captive audience, and I was approached to, I'd like to, you know, at the time, even Bill Shatner had done what he had, the PSYOP series. What was it, PSYOP? Air Wars, right. Which was made into a brief series. That was very fashionable. Everybody was doing it. So I was approached, and I said, I had sort of a story in my mind. And I was very fortunate. It took a whole year of 1997. And I went through, I had a lot of help as well. Mentioned the writer. I had a lot of help in forming my story, and we got it out. It was called Frontier Earth. It was on Ace Science Fiction, and I've signed a few copies from you all that have come up with them. I sold one of the last copies yesterday, last two hardbacks. It's in paperback as well, but hard to find now. It was called Frontier Earth and Frontier Earth Searcher. And strangely enough, it was published in 1998. I toured around with it, books, tours, and stuff like that throughout Europe and the States. And then this graphic novel phenomenon is happening. And I don't want to say openly that this happens in Hollywood, but it does. There's a movie about to come out called Cowboys and Aliens. It has a certain similarity. And it came out, I know it was published. And I'm not pointing fingers and into names, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Very close to Frontier Earth. I can't wait to see it. But I did see Daniel Craig playing a certain character that is very reminiscent of somebody else. Not that mine is the most original, but that happens often, you know. I remember Battlestar Galactica originally was takeoff on Star Wars. And George Lucas wasn't very happy about that. In fact, sued Glenn Larson and Universal for it because it just looked too close to the original Star Wars. These things happen in Hollywood, but I haven't really gotten the news since then. I have actually toyed with a few things, but the book did okay, and I'm still shopping it around. I think it's still with Sam Raimi's television wing of his company. So maybe the success of Cowboys and Aliens will help spark some interest. I'd like to do a TV series with it. So I never know.
Yeah, thank you very much. That was an excellent answer. It's not one of
Does it?
That was very helpful. Thank you very much.
Good. I mean, you know.
And for what it's worth, I'm straight as an arrow, but you're better looking than Daniel Craig or me. Question right over here.